yourself out to the slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5. Newswire on the Evil FB Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in Newswire on Rumble on this terrible Tuesday. Oh, that was Charles Barkley's the round man of rebounds favorite thing. Terrible Tuesday. Oh, that lots of stuff going on. Prop 47, Newsom's in some hot water over that. Big plot by the big time, and I mean big time influential Democrats, because then you know the money interests are getting a little testy about slow Joe Biden and having him run. The Daily Mail ran that yesterday about this time it was breaking, a news story out that again might be flipping my mind. I thought they're going to do it at the convention. Then I thought, well, no, they've given up on it. Now maybe the biggest thing they have is the quandary. If they take Joe out, who do you put in? Well, some update on some polling and vibes of the 2024 election from the great Scott Rasmussen, polar extraordinaire, on that which state migrants are flocking to, and a lot more on this edition. Of course, we'll join the Mighty Met, 1490 a.m. at the bottom of the hour, like we usually do. Only thing on the slate, no county meeting this morning. Nothing else I was aware of. I didn't check City of Riverside. They may have. Marina Valley's got a council meeting slated at 6. Kind of a light agenda, but we shall see how that proceeds. Man, some of the stuff. And like we say, you can tell when the big money interests are panicking. We first saw it about a month or two ago, like when Jamie Dimon and a few others, who's head of Chase Bank, probably the world's most powerful financial banker dude in the world, and a few others that were on, a lot of them that were on Team Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley, and trying to stop Trump, and when they saw that train was going to crash, they, pledged their support or indicated they were okay with the Trumpster doing the thing. But just came out in the Daily Mail, and a story by Charlie Spiring, senior political reporter from the Daily Mail, which is the biggest, the biggest tabloid, biggest newspaper left is the Daily Mail, which is basically a tabloid style paper of that. The headline reads, Secret Democrat Plot to Replace Biden Revealed. How Clinton, Obama, Pelosi, and Schumer would topple the aging president and when they would do it. That's a very interesting question of that. Again, like I say, this has been batted back and forth. There's been rumors coming out every which way but Sunday of what's going to happen with Biden. Is he going to run? The story that broke mainly about a month ago, were insiders inside the White House were basically saying Joe Biden's basically a mental cripple, of that he can't function. He's wandering around the White House late at night, doesn't know where he's at, the whole shebang. It's getting pretty serious now because their biggest thing is they don't know who to put in. You've heard, what was it, the WAPO? There was an editorial by somebody who came up there, and you heard a couple others pitching the Hillary Clinton. Well, for Kamala Harris to step down and Hillary Clinton to become vice president, and then maybe they would ride out Joe Biden, and then he would resign right after the election. That ain't good. That is not go. I mean, I ain't gonna say never. The odds of that flying are almost nil. And Neil just jumped off the old Golden Gate Bridge, as they say. They're already losing support by the minute from the black community. If they pull Kamala Harris off the vice presidential ticket and put Hillary Clinton in, all holy hell will break loose. Blacks supported Bill. They loved Bill. They called him the first black president. They hated Hillary. One of the largest reasons Trump was successful in 2013, not that blacks voted for Trump, they just didn't vote. And that was critical of those swing states, a few of those swing states like Pennsylvania and others that went Trump's way. And that has a significant and very, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area mainly, has a very extensive black population. But that was the main reason he or she, Her Highness, that thought it was a coronation, didn't get in. And, and her arrogant, flippant attitude, to say the least, is one major reason why she didn't get in. Fast forward today, like I say, if they try to take Kamala Harris off the VP ticket and pull a maneuver like that, it's all over. The other one that they keep mentioning is like Dr. Kelly Victory, who was on us yesterday, Big Mike, which is Michelle Obama. It makes a little more sense, as she would maybe attract some of the black support that her husband, Barack Hussein, had. Makes slightly more sense, but I don't think it is. Especially those in the black community, those black males, I think the polling is understating the impact or the movement, especially of blacks and especially black males in this election. They are moving to the droves to Donald J. Trump. They were doing good. Okay, so they got talked into the whole Biden, got scared of the COVID fiasco or whatever. But when they saw the religious prosecution, not religious, political, well, it could be religious too. The political prosecution, Donald J. Trump, by the weaponization, they've been saying that for years and decades. And in a lot of cases, they're not necessarily wrong. They've been targeted, in areas, especially the Deep South, of where, okay, we'll just put them in jail. Whether the charges are true or not, or trumped up charges. And there's one thing. You don't want to make a martyr, or in this community or in this context. Again, the Democrats, vast majority of them, were hell-bent. They thought all of this, the election interference, the raid of Mar-a-Lago, J6, all this stuff, these lawsuits, whether they come up in Georgia or Florida or New York, they were they were convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Joe Biden would sweep by a 57 state majority, as Obama has stated. They could, at every turn, they couldn't have been more wrong. Up until they got their felony conviction in a sham trial. And again, I think that, well, it maybe drove them off over the edge. Is a not quite that. Now the blacks, especially males, who have borne the brunt of the political prosecutions or hey, we don't want you in our neighborhood type stuff, they now they have something in common with Trump. He's one of the brothers now. He's a de facto black brother because they have done everything trumped up, pun intended, charges that nobody else, if you messed up on your records keeping out the one they did that, which is a misdemeanor, and then they tried, well, they did. I think eventually it's going to be overturned, but we'll see how that works out. There's no way that anybody, unless you are just so full of hate for Donald J., that any reasonable human being walking the planet Earth is flat convinced this was a political prosecution, and they're trying to do that. And even if they didn't like Trump or they got upset about the mean tweets and so on, they can see a wrong when they see it. They can see the injustice in this. And they're saying, you know what? Maybe a lot of us misread 2017 to 2020. Maybe we didn't know how good we had it. It's amazing at sometimes that we, the people, sometimes don't know how good we have it, especially in the United States. Even with all the conditions we explain and talk about on a daily basis, this kind of thing should not be happening in the United States. We know that. We're better than that. We appreciate, maybe we've taken for granted for a while. Like I said, maybe we had to get the 2020 Joe Biden, just as that old proverbial slap up against your head to straighten you out. That's maybe we just needed that little dose of reality, that cold splash of water in your face type of thing. Let's read more from the Daily Mail article. Nearly every time President Joe Biden appears in public these days, he fuels the chatter. Will aging Joe bow out of the 2024 race? Will he be forced to step aside? Question mark. In the latest incident, former President Barack Obama was seen Saturday reaching out to Biden's hand and seemingly guiding the 81-year-old commander-in-chief off the stage at a Los Angeles fundraiser. And then Kay Biden stood motionless and stared for a full minute at the Juneteenth celebration. We've all run that. Not only in the last 2 weeks, it's been going on for ever since he's been president. It's continuing today. It's getting worse by the minute. Everybody knows Joe Biden is not getting any better. He's in that cognitive decline stage of where, hey, it's just, it's not, he's not going to wake up one morning and all of a sudden be the Joe Biden, Mr. I'm going to wrap your head in chains. I'm Mr. Badass. I'm pounding on the table, Joe Biden, whether it's true or not. White House spokesperson Andrew Bates is denying the Biden froze with the viral video, calling it cheap fake memo of that. We went through that with KGP, the Miss Alphabet soup, yesterday on that. It's the idea that somehow, some way, the president will be swapped out as the Democratic Party candidate ahead of the 2024 election. Dropping out would be a big risk, but there's some threshold below which continuing to run a bigger risk. Polling guru Nate Silver wrote on a social media last week. Are we there yet? I don't know, but it's more than fair to ask. Nate Silver's been a Democratic left-wing hack. He's not any sort of, you'd even call him a neutral pollster, even though he tries to do his 538 bull. It's James Carville, the political mastermind behind Clinton's presidential campaign, said flat out this month Biden should not have run for re-election. Now, in a last-ditch effort by Biden's critics and backers, well, by his backers to silence his critics, let me get that right, inside the party may prove his ultimate undoing. According to Democratic bigwigs, Obama's campaign guru, David Axelrod, the Biden team scheduled one of the earliest presidential debates in history, June 27th, to prove the naysayers that Joe's not going anywhere. That is tremendous risk. Every incumbent president, I don't think without question, has lost or not had a good performance. The challenger has always had a better performance gained in the polls after the first debate. Let's face it, the incumbent has to defend his record. The challenger can point out every mistake, every I that wasn't dotted, every T that wasn't crossed, everything, and you have to defend that. What are you going to do? Defend my candidate did a little bit different than Trump because he's been president before, but still. The incumbent president, especially in Ronald Reagan, terrible in the Mondale debate. Everybody thought, oh, Mondale's going to sweep this in. Dukakis versus Poppy Bush. Every first debate, everybody, oh, Dukakis is going to win this by Obama 57 state margin. George Bush wound up winning, even carrying California, the last Republican to carry the great state of California. So it's a tremendous risk. They were thinking, well, if we get this out of the way early and then we come back in September, maybe we can undo the damage of that. Former Clinton advisor and polling expert Mark Penn suggested the CNN debate will be Biden's last chance to reassure voters he's fit for the job. Mark Penn now runs Harris AP poll, I think, right now. And yeah, he was the head guy for Clinton with James Carville and sawed off Stephanopoulos and all that of that. Now, the DailyMail.com has learned that if Joe stumbles in that face-off with Trump or his polling numbers keep falling, it'll take a united front of the liberal or grandness to make Joe throw in the towel. Joe's not going to go easily. Jill, who's basically running the Jill Biden is basically right now the de facto president of the United States. Joe is not in a state of mind to do that. And as they go along, of course, it's going to be a high-risk strategy. They're between a rock and a hard place on this. Other party insiders concede the candidate swap could work if everything could be carefully planned and executed. Well, yeah, we could bleed of Pluto in 24 hours if the plan it was carefully planned and executed. The executed, or you could even carefully plan it. The execution part is a big stumbling block in that deal. Political columnist Joe Klein theorized in a recent newsletter that if Biden were to stand down a vigorous young candidate, don't ask me who, could win over the country with a single convention speech in August. Again, never say never. And Joe Klein is another. He's a hardcore left-wing loon nut liberal. Of course, they've talked about the scenarios. Pelosi. Here's the big Obama, Bill Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Those are the four lords of the Democratic Party. Now, they take their marching orders from the big money establishment. But if those four come to a consensus that Joe Biden will not run for re-election in 2024, he will not run for re-election. That's how much punch those four do. Now, it's going to take, it just can't be Bill Clinton, or it just can't be Nancy Pelosi. It can't be Bill Clinton and Nancy Pelosi, or Barack Obama and Chuck E. Schumer. It has to be at least three of the four of them. And three of the four of them, because Democrats, once the edict has come down, that's it. They do not tolerate dissent. They don't care about your opinion. That's just the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it and you're going to try and buck the system, they will show you how quick, not only how quick you can be thrown out the door, they will continue and make sure to make your life a living wreck in hell for the rest of your life. These are the kind of, that's the hardcore politics, and Democrats play at the hardest of hardcores. Lock, stock, and barrel. There's no, at least in the U.S., there's no more ruthless political players than the Democratic Party, the hierarchy of the Democratic Party. You don't move up the ladder unless you understand those rules. They are very plainly put in front of you. So we shall see. We'll pick up when we join the Mighty Met 14A. We'll pick up on the hot water Newsom's getting, not only under the budget, but Prop 47. And maybe we'll touch on some of Scott Rasmussen's polling that he's done. Now that he sold off Rasmussen Reports, but now he does it under Scott Rasmussen. Rasmussen Reports is still good. Still a very fair poller on that. So I'm seeing or not seeing.
All right, 30 seconds.
Oh, there we go. I was just about ready to hit because it hit 5:32 on my deal. I was thinking,
I had to re-log in because you didn't have any audio from me, so I had to re-log
okay.
in.
Yeah.
All right, man. Here we go, Roy. Here we go.
You got her. We hoe down around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Opinions expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's FME Slide Guitar Music that comes in every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil Upbeat Network and Rumble. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire on Rumble, and even on YouTube. Check us out over there. We're seeing how many days in a row we can run on YouTube without getting kicked off. I think 5 or so. I think 6 was the longest. And I think, well, I don't think I logged in Friday, so I don't know. But This is probably, well, that I've tried to log in. I think this is the longest I've ever, for any reason, been on old YouTube. We spent the most of the first half hour on the net, as we say, talking about the Daily Mail report that just came out. Well, it came out late yesterday. That some of the hierarchy of the establishment Democratic Party are really working hard and really leaning and exploring the possibility and the most likelihood Joe Biden will not. We just can't. We are gonna, with Joe Biden on the ticket as president, we are gonna. We might start even losing more Senate and House seats than we figured that was going on. That's how much critical mass they have on this situation. When you hear this kind of stuff coming out of the Dems, you know the situation is serious. That story wasn't leaked to the Daily Mail if there wasn't a there behind it. You can guarantee that. So we shall see it play out. Like I said, I vacillated back and forth. I thought, hey, they're just going to run him and see how it happens. Then I thought, well, maybe, they were pushing the Gulag Gavin Newsom train, stepping in at the convention, and then Newsom flopped. Like Andre the Giant doing a belly flop into a pool. And if you don't know who Andre the Giant is, use a search engine other than that big popular one like DuckDuckGo or Start Page. Find out about Andre the Giant. But that starting block went out. Now, so then they were back to, well, we're just going to ride it with Joe and see how it works out. And then, like he said, it's been breaking all over the place out of the White House. Many reporters have done it, said, hey, Joe Biden is basically mentally gone. He's just not capable of even a coherent sentence, much less being president of the United States. Like I said, Joe Biden is the de facto president of the United States right now. Oh, Gav's in hot water. Some leaked emails over this Prop 47 and that whole deal where it's on the ballot to reform, not repeal, reform Prop 47 so we can have safe communities again like we did before. Again, in about an even stupider move than some of the stuff they've been doing nationally, or the Democrats have been trying to go after the Trump, they tried to put this poison pill. Oh, we're going to reform it now, but if you pass this new legislation, which should be passed by Hugo Chavez 147%, it might go that way. All these reforms we're putting in are okay, and the reforms they're putting in are fine, well, for the most part. I mean, there's probably some you could pick out, but I mean, there's no reason to put this poison pill in place, in the bill by the legislature. Hey, but if you think reforms are done, that's what your job is there. State senators, state assemblymen, that's what your job is, to do this. If you think it needs reforming, pass it, and we'll judge you all at the ballot box, as we should be, in a representative republic, not a democracy. Here's some from the CBS News Sacramento team. Hopefully, here we go.
And Democrats at odds, others reaching across the aisle to work together.
And now a CBS 13 News exclusive. Investigative reporter Julie Watts obtained emails between the governor's office and initiative leaders, which reveal what led to the breakdown of negotiations. Julie.
Yeah, guys, leaked emails make it clear that the governor's office does not want Californians voting on a retail theft, crime, and homelessness proposition on the November ballot. His chief of staff made it clear she did not want to negotiate a package of crime bills that Democratic leadership are pushing through unless a coalition of crime victims and law enforcement leaders and retailers would agree to pull their ballot measure off the ballot completely until 20.
So now Gulag Gavin's staff and the crew up there in the legislature are threatening and saying, hey, if you don't pull all guy like Sheriff Chad, Sheriff Jikus in Purdue, Don Barnes in Orange County, DAs Hestron, Anderson, and Todd Spitzer down in OC, and many others, most of them. Most of your county sheriffs and DAs in this way, it's important to keep them as elected positions, are put this on. They went out and did the hard work, raised the money, told the business people, hey, you need to get on board so we can help you out. Will you keep griping about this crime and all this stuff of that? Hey, we need, this is it. You know, we need so much to get this on the ballot. I think it was almost $8 million. We need that $8 million just to get it on the ballot. Not to what they're going to spend. This is going to be this campaign is going to be probably $50 to $100 million on each side. Maybe the yes on this reform package, whichever prop it's going to be, maybe not, because it's going to be it's polling so overwhelmingly popular that again, never say never, but it's going to take a humongous. I think realistically, to even have a slither of a shot of defeating this proposition, they will have to spend over $200 million because the California media market is like off the charts. Anyway, back to it. They are stomping up and down because they know their hands are tied. They've done this, closed the prisons, thrown everybody out of jail. Well, not everybody. Half the inmates out of jail that were there 5-10 years ago, closing prisons down. Oh, we got to save money. We're turning San Quentin into Club Med. And so they did this because of the cost and everything else. Now, if this reform comes in and they have to house prisoners because they're getting prosecuted, they're getting arrested, prosecuted, and convicted, now they're on the state's roll. And there's nothing they can do about it. If the county sheriffs or city police departments, your county district attorneys do this, they're hosed. They've got to take them. If they get felony convictions, if Hestron, Anderson, or Todd Spitzer, or hopefully Nate, and especially if Nathan Hochman gets in LA County, Katie, bar the freaking door. And I don't say Nathan Hochman's going to go in and do the whole racial or, driving while black thing, but he said the Gascon days of just letting everybody out like Newsom and Corey Jackson, canine hating Corey Jackson, and everything else come up with, you're done. They know they're in deep trouble over this. That's why they are pulling out every major league stop to try and get this off the ballot, and it's succeedingly not working. Here's more from the CBS News Sacramento report. Here we go.
2026. At issue is the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act. It's intended to reform Prop 47. That's the 2014 voter-approved law that reduced punishments for drug possession and thefts under $950, which, according to law enforcement and retailers, means even repeat and career thieves and people in possession of hard, lethal drugs now only face misdemeanors, which in California means no time in prison and rarely any time in jail. In fact, officers can't even arrest someone for a misdemeanor unless they witness the crime firsthand. Enter the new ballot proposal. It's been billed as a Republican-led initiative, but it's actually sponsored by a group of victims advocates and business and public.
Hey, the business people in business, big business, super humongous businesses. Big at Walmart's, Targets. I don't know specifically, but I mean, I'm pretty confident of that caliber saying, hey, you got to do something about this. We're losing so much money. You keep this up. If we can't, we're going to be pulling out of California. We've put up with it. We backed you. Now we got to lock them. They're walking out the door. Now we got to plexiglass everything. That isn't even stopping them. they said either you do something about this, the legislature, or not. They didn't. They got with the sheriffs and the DAs, and they said, "Hey, whatever, basically whatever it takes, get it on the ballot." That's why they got. That's why we got $8 million to get it on the ballot. That's what they're panicked about. It's gotten so bad that, and a lot of these companies, a lot of these back to the gulag, Gavin Newsom's, Corey Jackson's, Isaac Bryan's, Reggie Jones Soya, that nutcase Nancy Skinner in our state legislature, and on and on and on. More from the Sacramento CBS News report. Here we go.
Safety leaders, including former prominent DAs. Top donors include Walmart and Target, and people have been lining up outside grocery stores to sign the petition, which now has enough signatures to qualify for the ballot. But in these emails, first obtained by CBS News California, it's clear the governor's office doesn't want Californians voting to reform Prop 47 on Election Day this year. The governor's chief of staff, Dana Williamson, tells the coalition's lead negotiator, Greg Totten, the governor is only open to a ballot measure in 2026. Totten says they're only willing to consider amendments on the 2024 ballot. Williamson responds, then there's nothing to talk about, taking a dig at his consultants, who she says haven't won anything in a decade. Good luck. Now, Democratic leadership has its own set of bills that lawmakers can pass without voter approval, which address some but not all of the issues on the ballot measure. Following the breakdown in negotiations, today Democratic leaders added a so-called poison pill, which would automatically repeal their own crime bills if voters pass the ballot measure in November. Now, bottom line, it's clear that leadership does not want Californians voting on a crime ballot measure in November. In fact, several prominent Democrats actually broke ranks today with leadership, either pulling their bills from that package or taking their names off bills on that package. So it will be interesting to see how this plays out. And frankly, if leadership can even get enough votes, because of the amendment, they would have to get a 2/3 vote. And it's not clear they have that right now. We did reach out to the governor's office today. We did not get a response back. We also reached out to the coalition. They were not available for an interview, but you can read their full response on our website. We've also posted the entire email chain there for you to read as well.
I'd say this is the reason Gulag Gavin and the crew are, and all those K9 hating core Jackson are might upset. They know they're on the run. They know the people have had enough of it. Not only the people, but their big benefactors, the guys and gals that put up the campaign cash. As you've seen, Walmart and Target. On the brick and mortar traditional retail in your community, there's probably two not much bigger ones right now than Walmart and Target. Without a doubt. Without question. When Walmart and Target have had enough, if Walmart and Target start cutting off the Newsoms of the world, and start backing a few Republicans or whatever, they're going to be in, the Democratic Party is going to be in a world of hurt. The citizens of California will rejoice because we will at least start seeing a little sanity back in our system. Let's finish up. Might as well catch the last 40 seconds of the CBS News Sacramento report. Here we go.
I mean, Julie, this is such a strong response. Why is Newsom's office, along with Democratic leadership, so against a ballot measure this year?
You know, it depends on who you talk to. A lot of different people have a lot of different reasons. But, you know, one thing that Capitol insiders definitely tell me is that there's a lot of concern if you have a crime measure on the ballot, it'll bring out conservative voters in November. And there are a couple House seats that are up for grabs that could actually flip Congress. And so there are some concerns that this ballot measure could bring out conservative voters and it could have a ripple effect all the way to D.C.
There you go. There, with this Daily Mail story coming about nationally with Joe Biden, and they're doing that. I said, and Donald J. said it even, he's going after California. I mean, it's got New York. He's even got a better chance of getting the state of New York than California. California's going to be a tough road to hoe. I don't think even Joe Biden or whomever, whether it's Big Mike or whomever they're going to put in there, or whoever they think they're going to put in there, I don't think they're going to get in the 60% of all or at all. I think they might still get 50% plus. Schiff is leading over Garvey in the National Senate deal by 20 points or something. But Newsom's approval rate and Biden's in the state of California is below 50%. That hasn't happened. Democrat governor or president hasn't seen that in California probably since Jimmy Carter. Maybe Gray Davis. Well, Gray Davis would have. And when he got recalled. But they're about at Gray Davis PO'd level. They were getting there in 2021, and we almost had him. We had Newsom on the ropes on the recall over the French $1,000 plate. Gavin Newsom up there at the French Laundry. But he, like Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle, he pulled off the ropes and pulled it out. And you got to give him credit for that. But he still had the backing of the establishment. He still had the backing of the Walmarts and Target crowd. Let's put it that way. He does not now. They've had enough of it. Well, we're 2024. He got reelected in 22. We're 2024. And whatever promises he made to fix it, all my stuff will work. He won't have to worry about it. We'll get it under control. And it's 2-3 years later, and it's exponentially, which means a humongous amount, a whole bunch worse. We ain't tolerating it. It's a minor miracle that we're surviving this stuff. And that's not really an exaggeration. This one was kind of, we got a couple minutes before the break. This one was kind of intriguing. Migrants are now flocking to this deep red state. What is it? Oh, man, I love this technology. From the outside of a motel room in Midville, just outside Salt Lake City, Celine told the outlet, "We have enough money to feed ourselves, but not to pay the rent." Democratic-run cities that initially welcome migrants are starting to run dry of assistance to help those migrants that have been making their way to Utah. Officials in the state told the outlet that the number of new cases filed in immigration court indicated a sharp rise in the migrant population. So all these crows like Gulag Gavin Newsom and Andy Cuomo and Fat Boy Pritzker up there in Illinois and all of them that were sanctuary cities, and it's those evil white boys wearing the stand-up Riverside t-shirt and stuff. They're hillbillies, wanting to shoot them all, racist. When they were going to our towns and communities, that was okay. Now that they were shipped to their community, they have Joe Biden to thank. At least Barack Obama, George Bush, both. Reagan's who signed the amnesty, but that Clinton, build the wall Clinton. They have not went along with this program. They kept it, and even that, Clinton stopped a lot of the California with the wall. Most of the wall, especially in California, was built under the Bill Clinton administration, under his authority and blessing, because he wanted to be a two-term president. So now that they're, once you heard Eric Adams, the mayor, the black mayor of that, he said, well, we can't have, when we said sanctuary city, that meant Moreno Valley, California. That meant Enid, Oklahoma was supposed to do that. Those not supposed to be in New York City. We can't handle this. We got to, federal government. The rest of the 57 states help bail us out. No. You asked for it. You deal with it. Now they're overwhelmed, and they said they could take care of us, and we were the evil, racist pieces of trash. Was what they really said. As long as it was mainly a California, Arizona, Texas problem, it was okay. When it got in their backyard, they're saying, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on here. We didn't mean us. Number has already climbed from about 2,500 to over 21,000 in the last couple of years, almost tenfold. Governor Spencer Cox has championed immigrants making the contributions in the state, particularly called the state, to be allowed to sponsor workers from abroad. The Republican has since called a tougher line on immigration and acknowledged the state has been struggling with it. It's a problem with Republicans. They didn't want to be called racist, so they backed up and, we're pro this and that. Well, now that he's getting a bunch dumped on him, it ain't such a great idea. Yeah, how hypocritical some of the, if the center-right politician or Republican politicians had 10% of a ball in them, we'd be all in a lot better shape. Get some of that toughness like the Democrats got and the left. Those guys are relentless. We got to toughen up a lot on the center-right. And I mean a lot. Whew. Holy Moses, as they say. Be right back here in a flash. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. Maybe one day I'll learn how to use the video switcher on that. If you need to buy American, go to one of Cliff Cummings' great dealerships, the San Bernardino Auto Mall, 10 and 215 freeways. Don't forget I-10 Toyota down in the lower desert. Man, it's starting off on this weekend. Actually, a lot of things are even looking up for that. Maybe we'll get Scotty Rasmussen stuff on that tomorrow, get some of his thoughts, and I'm sure there'll be lots of intriguing stuff going on down the way. Got to make a mad dash. Didn't have time to rearrange stuff, so I got to make a mad dash to the City of Moreno Valley Council meeting, which is slated to start in about a minute and a half. So, by the miracle, and I'm going to tell you how I should make it in time for opening public comments on that, and maybe we'll report on that tomorrow. Who knows? However, today, as we usually say at this time, it's mandatory you're back here 23 hours wide to hear the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya!
The preceding was a paid program.
All right, Roy, drive safe. I'll talk to you Friday.
You got it.